Dear Rwandans, dear Africans, I am happy to present you and to the government of Rwanda my point of view of national unity after 1 month of the declaration of the creation of the Ministry of Unity, National Unity and Citizen Education by the President of the Republic in the Council of Ministers of the 14th July 2021. My project of unity of Rwanda is oriented towards unity of African states. I begin by welcoming this decision and evoking national unity refers to two realities of one entity, the nation and the people. In connection with the nation, I can say that we seek the unity of Rwandans of inside and Rwandans of outside. Or let us say Africans of Africa and Africans of diaspora. We see in some countries ministries responsible for foreign affairs and citizens of abroad. I want to suggest that our Rwandans of abroad be entrusted to this new Ministry of National Unity. The framework, Rwandans abroad, they can be entrusted in the new ministry within the framework of national unity. Because Rwandans abroad have a great need to learn from their country. Citizens of abroad programs can therefore include modules intended for them. In relation to the people, the national unity refers us to a recognition of the differences whose unity must be promoted and managed. The differences exist, but there are those that are not allowed and those that are not well defined. Note that the unauthorized differences are those related to the physical or moral identities of persons. Note that are not allowed on pain of racism and segregation. The famous Rwandan Trinity indeed falls under this type of differences to be avoided. The differences that I believe fall within the framework of the national unity of peoples are those which are linked to territories or traditional lands. Those are even the ones that have sometimes been at the origin of the palpable differences. Then we have to cultivate links. Promoting the unity is not about putting people together in the same room, in the same meeting, in the same assembly, or in the same picture. It is cultivating strong links and making them respect. I have identified 4 types of links in my expose here. And then there are natural links, legal links, symbolic links, and strategic links. About natural links, you can say to have the same origin, the same history, and the same ambition, the same destiny. About legal ties, we can speak about constitution and all instruments, legal instruments that complete the national constitution. Note that in the line of national unity, those instruments must adopt the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Another link is symbolic links. They are infrastructure set out in the Constitution as representing the nation, the flag, the anthem, the language, and borders. You can say also the national team and so on, which is nationally identified, representing the nation. Another type of links I mentioned, the dynamic strategic links are among others the national army, the police, the presidential activity, and all public services. Now, we will see together in this proposal mainly the number one link applied to Rwanda and to Africa, the natural link. And let us make a small introduction. Why Rwanda and why Africa in the same objective of unity? To envision Rwandan unity by dissociating it from African unity is like isolating the human heart from his body. To envision African unity based on Rwandan unity is like giving air to the newborn baby in his first seconds of existence, removing the dool from it and cutting it from the umbilical cord. Rwanda is a nation emerging from the colonial consequences. 100 years after the partition of Africa, colonization and new colonialism, from its bloody passage to freedom, it is capable of serving as a pillar for African states concerned with the dignity of their peoples. By consolidating his unity, it is a base that he is establishing for the United States of Africa, the only entity capable of curbing African inferiority on the world level. If we can describe today to this Rwandan Unity project, it is because we are, if we subscribe, I want to mean, it is because we are convinced that it can go further, because all the natural and intellectual assets are at our side. The human history that we share with all of sub-Saharan Africa, the landlocked position seen as the head, feeding all bands, the vision of the future based on the need for dignity, the step already done on the security strategy, and the various unfinished business plans of political Pan-Africanism. Then, what are those ties we have as natural. Rwandans have the same origin. That's natural unity. People who do not share history will find it difficult to share destiny. It will be difficult for them to hear the language of unity that this or that politician can build. However, the Rwandan people and all the people of sub-Saharan Africa share the same human history before being a planetary history. That of having the same archaeological origin before expanding by following the Rift Valley, savannas, and the rivers. The conception that divided the Rwandan people had never mentioned the same origin to all Rwandans. The big gap in the education, citizen education. Never they have mentioned that Rwandans have the same origin. Today is time to underline it. It is obsolete, the conception that divided the Rwandans, since it resulted in the genocide of the Tutsi in 1984. The thesis according to which the Tutsi are like all Africans, an African people found in Rwanda by the circumstances of the natural African population, is able to convince all Africans that they are all at home without any more xenophobia. And when each person is at home, it feels at home, what remains is what? Dignity. Rwanda finds itself at the intersection of all sub-Saharan settlement movements. Its inhabitants represent exactly the diversity of Africa, tall, medium, and small. Physically, I mean, ethnologists speak of Nilotic, Bantu, and Pygmy populations. These physical differences between people, however, are not the opposite of their brother. Only their ancestors traveled and inhabited different regions, which variable reliefs had an impact on their morphology over the ages. Ironically, the mountain oaks that separate the sources of Congo and Nile are found in Rwanda. You know, if they were following the rivers, their destination were Rwanda. And when they meet in Rwanda. This is where the meeting of the people of the East and the West produced a shock, which was accentuated from 1991 to 1994, culminating in the genocide of the Tutsi. But from this shock, the Rwandan people are realizing that a brotherhood between all African people is natural. They in no way constitute different races or ethnicities, except differences imposed by the limits of the territories, which limits are not obstacles. This is why the unity of territories will always define the unity of peoples. The duty of all political activity is to unite these differences for the happiness of humanity, which the colonizer did not do. The physical differences between men have already been ironed out as a racist rhetoric. The only differences currently observable are of a social and economic status. Reconsidering the historical unity of Rwanda means reviewing the system of social organization of pre-colonial Rwanda and redefining in the modern context the notion of complementarity of social groups united by a system of solidarity and social security. Rwanda has gone from the three historic professions to a multitude of new professions, which all contribute to the social security fund. I mean, some people today can refer to ethnic groups and speak about agriculture and everything. No. Let's go to the second natural meaning. Historical. Historically, people have the same battle, same fight of life. economy. We find in every African country the studs of colonial religion. Rwanda can now provide an example of unity with an African dimension by recognizing the right of every human group to live in community. Only our project of Rwandan unity, African unity, the only reality to promote the life of cities, villages, states, all united by the same political project, African dignity based on the duty of solidarity and the right to freedom. Africa must regain its dignity, emerging from slavery and colonization, carved in migratory crisis of its nationalists to the West, by raising its level of economic independence and, and establishing strong reciprocity measures. You understand? What the West do, we are able to do about our mutual populations. Members of the diaspora should invest naturally in their town and villages of origin. The refugees' youth must be reversed and promote the return of brains or the location of their companies to Africa. Only Rwanda has started to take action in this direction by serving as a transit point for African refugees. To unite the Rwandans of home and those of abroad can be the beginning of African reconciliation with its diaspora and provide concrete responses to the migration crisis on both sides of the West and Africa. Within the framework of Rwandan unity between the interior and the diaspora, strong gestures that resonate on the African level can be taken. Open the investment market to all members of the African diaspora and demonstrate equality of opportunity for all Africans with Rwandans. It can mean, for example, the recruitment of African experts at the head of major institutions in Rwanda. It is a step in its direction. But it will be necessary to maintain intransigence vis-à-vis African politicians of abroad who have no legal basis now. The unity of Africans is the discrediting of the borders inherited from colonization and doing everything so that those borders, so that African people exchange all their economic, cultural, and social life without borders. But we cannot achieve African unity without having achieved the internal unity of states. You see, African borders have become the obstacle of the economic unity of its peoples. The question of the internal security of states should be resolved at the African level. Hence, the need to create a large African army on the basis of a leading country. If this leading country were to be Rwanda, it must conclude its internal unity first, at all costs, before extending its security authority to the other members of the Union. You see, we are in the direction and in the need of internal unity. The other natural link I mentioned in the strategy one to have the same ambition. That is hope. In Rwanda, as in Africa, it will be a question of giving a political and cultural life to communities which would be confederated under the same military, the same judicial, the same financial, and the same diplomatic authority. What will succeed in Rwanda will ipso facto succeed in the United States. The abolition of ethnic identification based on colonial nomenclature finds its justification in a political strategy of national unity. By definition, the United Rwandan or African nation is a set of communities with geographic and cultural barriers. They organize themselves democratically with regard to their local life. Any communitarization that does not fall within the defined territorial structure is bound to disappear. It is communitarianism, yes, prohibited by the Constitution. It is in this context that the identity called Hutu in Rwanda, while it does not cover any geographic or territorial entity, must be prohibited when reference is made to a people. What does not belong to a given territory necessarily, when reference is made to, depends on an ideology. I repeat, what does not belong to a given territory necessarily depends to an ideology. That means that Hutu is only the ideology which you know what are reached. A measure of cultural reform in Rwanda can have an impact on the whole Africa. Stop the tri-ethnic vision of Rwandan society inherited from colonization and demand separation from the two colonizing states, which are the origin of Germany and Belgium. The demand for reparation can be extended to France as well, which is entangled in the exploitation of the Rwandan regions, although it is not the only. Other provisions aimed at strengthening national unity can be, among others, prohibiting associations of ethnic character in the sense of the so-called Rwandan ethnic groups, even if they are genocide survivors. They have not to identify themselves as an ethnic group of persons together. In the culture of patrilineal inheritance of tribal identities, it must end also. Establishing a national day of unity and cultural diversity, which will celebrate Rwandan folklore, the regions, and the plural Rwandan cultural diversity, be honored. In some African countries, we can call this type of celebration the party of or the festival of villages or communities. Thus, professional national training cannot admit an ethnic or racial stamp of its members. The territorial origin rather than anything else. Thus, the former Rwandan armed forces, which have steeped in the ethnicity, which culminated in the genocide of the 1994, can agree to drop the mask and negotiate the armistice by acknowledging the mistakes of the past. You know, armistice have been always my proposition. In the end, let us say the unity of Rwandans is indeed the harmony established between the Rwandans of the interior among themselves and with their diaspora. It will be effective after strong measures taken by the government to establish a ministry of national unity. This ministry should therefore be responsible for framing Rwandan unity at the African level and drawing lessons from colonial history. Justice would not do without considering a broad amnesty to those non-political responsible of the genocide already. The preparation and implementation of an armistice procedure between the former belligerents of the Rwandan conflict would also be an asset in strengthening this national unity. This will further strengthen the Rwandan army with a view to serving as a base for a future African national army of a new united African nation. Thank you, all of the members of the government, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, you Rwandans and Africans who have followed my project presented today on 11th of August 2020.